how to handle with someone who has anger issues. Anger, when controlled and utilized in a positive way, can be a good thing. It can make fantastic sports players push themselves that little further for the gold, or a doctor refuse to give up on a dying patient. When anger becomes all-consuming and uncontrollable though, the consequences can ruin lives. Someone who has regular anger issues can often feel extremely guilty afterwards, regretting their behavior and unable to rationalize it in hindsight. Isabel Clark is a consultant clinical psychologist with the NHS and author of How to Deal with Anger, a self-help book for those with anger issues. She says people react with anger when something happens that trigger memories of really threatening situations way back in the individual's past. It can feel unbearable, and switching to attack mode can be a way of escaping from those emotions, she added. Clearly, anger management is far more complex than someone simply being a bad person. But if it's hard on those who suffer from it, it is just as bad, if not worse, for the family members and partners who are on the receiving end of the anger. Dr. Cosmo Hallstrom from the Royal College of Psychiatrists says that things can become violent. He added, a victim of domestic violence, which can stem from anger issues, can sometimes have been attacked 30 times before they report it to anyone. Relationships are a lot more emotionally intense than, say, a work situation. So what should you do? The police should be called to any situation where someone has been violent, or threatened violence, but there are things you can do to mitigate the person's anger. Dr. Hallstrom says, body language is important, so don't stand up and tower over them. Be conciliatory, and let them find a way out of their anger with dignity. You led me to my darkest place, an open letter to my mental illness. McDonald and number 039S has run out of bacon and people are losing it. The armed vagina is the next hot body part to feel insecure about. It's also important that you don't tell them how bad they are, and that you avoid having an argument in the kitchen, where possible, as there are knives around. Ms. Clark added, avoid continuing the argument. Where the emotion has taken over, it will stop them from being able to take in even the most compelling argument and will probably just make things worse. You could say something like, I am sorry that you feel so strongly about this. Let's talk about it another time. Mentioning that they are angry might just add fuel to the fire though. This is useful in the short term, but finding a long-term solution to a family member or partner with anger issues can be tricky. Ms. Clark says that the NHS does not tend to provide anger management services because it's not an official diagnosis, but that it is sometimes included, so a GP is probably your first point of contact. After getting someone to admit that they have a problem, taking them to a private clinic is an option. Removing yourself from a relationship that is violent is another, if you feel able. Another step is for the individual to avoid drinking and drug use, which can be a key contributing factor to anger issues. There are also charities such as the Freedom Program, which offers free help to both men and women. Therapy is no magic wand though, and persistence is key in dealing with someone with anger issues. As Dr. Hallstrom says, the truth is, it's not easy to get help, but don't be put off by the first hurdle. You first need to recognize there is an anger problem, then find therapy, then persist in the therapy. It doesn't happen overnight. More, smacking children should be banned in the rest of the UK too. More, snowflake or HSP? Here's how to get along with highly sensitive persons. More, it is never okay to fat shame anyone on public transport, or tell a stranger to lose weight.